welcome to the Virtuous Women's Podcast. Um, this is my first episode going live, so hopefully, what is discussed here will be helpful. And just waiting for my guest to join. Um, Once she join, we can get started. Hopefully, everybody is having a good day. Um, and we're gonna start shortly. But today's podcast is about the wealth transfer. And according to Proverbs 13 and 22. Okay, hi Shantae. Can you hear
Hi.
me? Can you hear
Give me
me?
one sec.
Oh.
Give me one sec.
So I was saying Proverbs 13:22. I usually read from the KJV, but you can read any one that you desire. It said, "A good man leave an inheritance to
Okay,
his
now I can hear
children's
you fine.
children, and the wealth of the sinners is laid up for the just." And so that's the scripture that we are coming out of. That's going to be based on what we talk about today. Are you able to hear me, Shantae?
I can hear you now.
I can't hear you though.
You can't? Okay.
Yeah,
Let's see. Can you hear me better now?
a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
Excuse me for yawning, but as she's getting her stuff together, so and last year, October the 4th, I closed on my own. And so I've been led to give my testimony about the whole home buying process because it's so many myths and so many different things that people tell you that you can't buy a home because of XYZ. They give you like a scare tactic, and people are misled because it's more so of a triggering, like, oh, I went buy a home because of this, that, and the other. That's why people don't get what they supposed to get from God because of other people telling you, oh, you shouldn't do this because they won't do it. But the home buying process, a lot of people are like, I don't have all this money saved up, blah, blah, blah. Baby, they got grants. You don't need all that money saved up. Like Shantae just closed with somebody, they didn't even have to pay nothing down, correct? And they got cash back. So she got the deal of the year. Mine was good, but not as good as her. So it's it's myths. Like you have to follow what God is telling you because a lot of people is on another, they'll keep you bound and stagnated in the place that you in because of what they don't see. So I'm gonna introduce Shantae. Shantae, tell us about yourself, what you do, and how do we know each other?
Thanks first of all, Crystal, for having me on. Can you hear me a little better now?
It's
It's really
it's low.
low.
Mm,
Okay. I have everything turned up. Unfortunately, I don't have a mic. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try to pull it closer to me. Can you hear me a little better now?
a little bit. Hold
Okay.
on. Hold on. Let's see if we can. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's not as loud. Yeah, it's just not loud, but I can hear you.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna try to speak a little louder as well. But yes, thanks for having me on. And you're absolutely right. Home buying is definitely something that's for everyone. Everyone needs somewhere to live. If you're not buying, you're going to be renting, so you're going to be paying someone else's mortgage as a renter, and that's not creating the legacy, and it's not leaving a good example for the next generation as well, because you definitely want to encourage home ownership, because in that it does increase the wealth in our community. And right now, there are a lot of things to help people buy. Like you stated, the grant programs. Also, there are some finance promotions with different lenders that can actually help you with the down payment. And in some cases, if you qualify, no down payment at all. And with those grants in combination is how it can take care of a lot of those closing costs, if not all. And in some cases, you can end up being able to leave with a check, which is what my recent client was able to do. So we definitely want to focus on making sure that you're ready. And that means a 600 qualify for this promotion with no down payment. The 600 credit score is a requirement. Some lenders will allow 580. Um, so it just depends on the lender. You definitely, as a general rule of thumb, want to be on your job for at least 2 years. And you're going to have to provide, of course, your tax statements, pay stubs, things like that for at least 30 days, 60 days, something like that. What the process is I actually get you in connection with a lender if you're not already pre-approved through your own lender. This particular lender that we're talking about is Movement Mortgage. And so I would get you in touch with the lender that assists me, that I partner with. His name is Cole Nebb, and we would get you through a process of an application online. You would provide all of your verifications to him, and then once he determines that you're pre-approved, we're ready to go out and start shopping. And that process is determining how much you want to pay each month, based on what your comfort level is and your income. So you can be approved for, let's say, 400,000, but you may not want to pay what 400,000 would look like in a mortgage each month. So we basically get everything tailored down to your particular situation, what you're comfortable with. And then we start looking for homes in that price range. Once we locate a house that you like, then we're able to submit an offer as long as you have your pre-approval letter in hand. And then that process basically is just a negotiation between us and the lender, I mean, the seller. Of course, I represent you as the buyer, and the seller's agent is going to represent them in the transaction. And then there are some fees that are associated with purchasing a home, of course, such as your home inspection. In some cases, the seller will provide the termite and moisture clear letter. Some cases, you're responsible for paying for that. And then the seller, you negotiate repairs on both of those cases. And then the next step is the appraisal. The appraisal comes from the lender. So you're basically going to purchase or pay for that with the lender, and they're going to schedule an appraiser to come out that determines if the home is to the value of the price that was settled on your contract, the selling price. And then at that point, once the appraisal comes back, if there's any repairs that are required, those would have to be completed before you close. And then the seller is responsible for providing proof of those through invoices, through pictures. And then the lender makes that final decision if everything is up to par, and then you're given a clear to close. And then that's when we have that exciting day when I hand you those keys, and I love to do that. So that's something that we want to do. We want to promote it so that maybe people that weren't able to do it before, because there's an issue with savings, which is normal because it used to be a time that people were able to save a lot more than they are now because of the economy. So, and even one other thing I wanted to bring up, that with this particular promotion, your debt to income ratio can be up to 80%, which is pretty
Mm,
high compared to what that would normally look like in a regular situation. So that does allow for you to have a little bit more debt than what you had before and still be able to be approved just based on your situation. So I encourage people to apply, not be afraid to apply, to see where you stand, because I have worked with a lot of people that didn't know that they could be approved, but they were able to be approved. And a lot of them have said, just like you, Crystal, that they didn't know it would be such an easy process. So I kind of pride myself in making that process easy and simple for people, because it can be a very complicated and stressful process. But I like to have a smooth transaction. I like to make sure that you're educated every step of the way so that you make the best decision for yourself, because only you know what you're comfortable with and what's going to be a good decision for you going forward. So that's what we do. That's what we love to do. And that is going to help in the wealth transfer that is definitely taking place now. And this is one of the ways of doing it and passing that wealth on to the next generation. If you're going to be paying rent, you might as well be paying for your own home after 3 years or so. Sometimes I've heard even 1 or 2 years. You can look into an equity line of credit where you can actually borrow against the equity in your home to pay off debt or do renovations in your home. So this is a way to also be more self-sufficient versus having to rely on the banks in order to do different things that you need to do and eliminate debt. So that also helps in saving, which is also something that, you know, is hard to do these days.
yeah, so the whole thing with people like, oh, but this and that and stuff is like, we perish for a lack of knowledge. And the Bible speaks of that. We perish for a lack of knowledge because we go by what people say, but we don't go by what God say all the time. And so when we get out of that mindset, he can change that mindset. But so you're telling me in the Bible, those people had wealth in the Bible. So we can't have that same wealth in 2025. The devil is a liar. And so this is how he keep us into poverty, because we already have what we need. God already applied it to, given it to us, but we hold ourselves up based on what people say, religion say, etc., instead of going after what is already rightfully ours. Now, with my home stuff situation, did you have anything else to say?
No, but just to kind of piggyback on what you say, absolutely your own preconceived notions, and sometimes looking at others' situations can
Mm-hmm.
cause you to hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just don't know until you actually try yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely don't be afraid to put yourself out
Mm-hmm.
there and try, because that's what you're working so hard for, to get your
Right.
credit together, is
Right.
to make that ultimate purchase, which is the purchase of your home.
Right.
And a lot of times, paying mortgage is more affordable than paying rent.
Right.
So you're actually helping yourself when you're able to become a homeowner, even if it's just a starter home and you're
Right.
only intending on being there for a temporary period.
Mm-hmm.
When you're able to rent that home out or sell that home,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to also assist in kind of building your assets and kind of
Right.
building a portfolio for yourself,
Yes.
that just makes you more stable and helps you in other places in life that you may be trying to build on. But yes, that's all I had to say. And I do want to say thanks so much again, Crystal, and anyone that's interested in talking to me or kind of asking any questions about their particular situation is welcome to inbox me. I'm also going to tag Cole's link in the comment section. So anyone that's interested in kind of reaching out to a lender and asking any questions directly to the lender is welcome to do that, as well as complete their application. And I hope to hear from you soon and see you at the closing table when I'm handing you those keys. Thanks again, Crystal. Be blessed.
Okay. So, I'm about to tell my testimony, so
Okay.
about everything.
Okay.
So, it has been so I don't like to tell my business, but I got to do it cuz it can help somebody else. So, prior to get my home, I was on Section 8. I was on Section 8 for like 8 years. And the stigma with Section 8, people be like, your rent be $25, baby. The devil is a liar. It doesn't. Because every time when I was on Section 8, the whole time, I always had a job. And so I wasn't paying the bare minimum rent. I always was paying decent rent. And so, my prayer was to Lord, I desire a home. I need the job to give me the income so I can get a home, because I know this will ultimately help me. And then this is what to break the generation curses off of the bloodline. That's another topic for another day. We can't go in that right now. But you know what I'm saying. So it would establish wealth for my children and grandkids, but it also broken the curse of the curse for the generational wealth for my children to receive. So I was up there in about last year 2023 January. I said, I'm moving. Didn't know what was going on. Holy Spirit download, I'm moving. I said, Lord, I'm moving. It was just something that was on my spirit so heavy. I was like, okay, I'm moving. Okay. So I didn't start packing my stuff up. I think last year in 2024 I started packing up my stuff and start getting rid of stuff. I didn't tell nobody. That's the main thing. When you're doing things, you got to be quiet because the enemy will steal it before you can get it off the ground. So you have to move in silence. So I start to pack my stuff up and get rid of stuff because I knew all of the stuff that I had was I had it 8 years, so it was time for new stuff. 8 equals new beginning. So I needed new stuff. So I was praying and stuff like that. And I came in contact with someone, and I was so I went through about four lenders and two realtors. The first realtor, I'm not gonna go deep in that, but it didn't work out. And when you're not connected to the right people, God will not let that align. So nothing was working out. Um, Under that person, I did find a house that I fell in love with, but it fell through and I was crushed and I kind of got discouraged. So once I disconnected with that person and that association in June, I didn't think about the house. I kind of let the house situation go until me and Shantae was talking at work or whatever. And she was like, well, you want to look? You can look. Because I had given up because my credit score when I was under that person, and I'm one of them people that God has blessed me. Like my whole life is a living testimony. Like he just takes nothing and he blessed me. So I'm like, Lord, the house, what's going on under that person? I said, nothing is moving, nothing is shifting, nothing is shaking, something is not right. The lender we had, the first one, I didn't want them. The second one, he said, once you get your score, we'll rerun it. And I still couldn't get approved through him. So I was like, well, something is not right. So went to Puerto Rico. Long story short, if something happened over there, got stuck. I was like, I can't get my house card because this Puerto Rico thing, and I got stuck at the airport and I had to use my credit card because you don't supposed to use your credit card. But long story short, so got with Tay. We went through Cole, and then we went through somebody else, but the best option was for me was to go through the credit union. My friend Ashley, I don't know if she watching, but my friend Ashley, hey girl, hey, she was like, go through the credit union. I went through the credit union. the lady was like, because my score wasn't moving anyway with the other person. It just went up overnight, like literally overnight. And so the my score went up. So when she ran my stuff, I was just like, oh, I don't know if so she ran my stuff. She was like, oh, Miss Beeman, your stuff is good. She was just telling me, she was like, we have the grant I got was, I think, FHLB, if I'm not mistaken. I got that grant and stuff like that. So we was going through the process. Now I'm gonna just be honest. I didn't have no money saved, a dime, a nickel, a penny, a quarter. I didn't have no money saved. Like literally, I'm not even exaggerating. Like I'm like being serious, and I didn't have no money saved at all. I didn't have no money saved for the earnest deposit money, the inspections, no money saved, but God blessed me with a house. That's nothing but him. Like I didn't have nothing saved. But every time it was time for me to pay for something, he provided for me to pay the fees. So I paid those. And then um it's funny. My story is so funny because I was looking at houses, and I'm very undecided when it comes to different things. And I'm just like, Lord, I don't know, because all these houses don't look good. They raggedy, and I ain't got time for it. And so this is why you have to get a realtor that's like family. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I was comfortable. She knows I'm not just, she not gonna let me move into anything that's gonna be raggedy or whatever, whatever. So we were looking. So I was like, because even with the two realtors she had with the credit union, they allowed me to go up some more money so I can get something in my that I like, because it was like everything I was seeing in my price range, it was not like, I didn't like it. But those two lenders that Miss Smith had gave me, I'm not saying they wasn't, they're bad, but they just wasn't what God wanted me to go through. So he wanted me to go through another source. So I went through the credit union, she upped the price. I mean, she upped my limit, thank God. So then we end up, what happened is we came on this street. Now my prayer was I wanted a 4 bedroom, and I wanted a 2 bath, but I didn't get a 4 bedroom. I do got the 2 bath, but I didn't get the 4 bedroom. And God just told me, you're getting a starter home just for you, because you ain't get married yet and you ain't got no kids. So this is just for Crystal right now. This is for to get me started into the home buying thing. So I was like, okay. So anyway, this is the funniest part. So we came to look at a house. I lied to you not. I don't know the dates. We came to look at the house. And the house we looked at, I was getting frustrated because I'm just like, Lord, I just got to pick, because I'm sick of it's like one morning I woke up, I'm like, Lord, I just got to pick. I'm sick of going to these houses. I'm getting overwhelmed. But I was looking for a certain feel, like a cry or something that made me feel like that was the house for me, but it never came. So we came on the street where I live at, and we went to a house that was next door. I went in that house. I knew I didn't like it because it had gas. I didn't want gas or whatever. So Miss Smith, Shantae was like, so the house next door, so before when we pulled up, I was like, oh, the house next door, that looked like something I like. That's my speed. I'm saying this in the car before I get out. So Shantae talking about, oh, that house was saying, oh, we about to go and look at that house. So we looked in the house, and I liked the house. I was like, okay. So she was like, do you want to put in an offer? And I'm just like, oh no, I couldn't, like, I was so indecisive. So it was like, Lord, I don't know. So then I saw a house in Hollywood, and it was a nice house. They both was the same price. So that one was 3 bedrooms. It was in a nice area, because that was the main thing. I wanted somewhere nice, safe, quiet, clean. And a townhouse wasn't for me because I had came from being attached to somebody, and no ma'am, no baby. I don't never want to be attached to nobody again. So we end up going to Hollywood. We saw that house. It was more like modern, like with the LED mirrors. It was nice. It was spacious. And it was like, okay, I was like so undecided, but Holy Spirit kept giving me a vision of the house I'm in now. It's like that house just kept playing over and over in my mind in the vision. So I'm just like, well, what's going on? So we went to put in an offer in the house in Hollywood. Baby, that man was like, he ain't want to work with me at all, honey. But this is how God worked. So the house that I kept seeing a vision of, I said the house I'm in now, I said, okay, well let's put an offer in there. Do you know that house was on the market for 26 days? 26 days. When we go to it went whenever in my price range, it wouldn't even populate into Zillow or Redfin. It didn't populate. We had to type it in for it to populate. So it wasn't populating. So I was like, that was weird. The house been on the market 26 days. I was interested. I had no competition at all. That's nothing but God. No competition in the area that I am in, and I'm by the interstate everywhere. No competition. I'm telling you how God worked, y'all. I'm telling you that He's good. No competition at all. So we talked to the man, and Shantae talked to the guy. He took money off of the selling price. He paid my closing costs, and I think the seller's concession. Basically, everything was covered, and then with my grant, what wasn't covered, they paid everything else. Now I did have to pay uh the $500 earnest deposit and the inspection and the loan. My grant had one more stipulation, but that doesn't mean all grants did. But and I paid that also, and that I paid that also too. So which was with that grant I had to pay my whole first year of my mortgage insurance up front, and I paid that by the grace of God. I paid that too. And so the man worked with us. He fixed all the repairs for us. Uh, but it was like, yeah, we had a little bumps, but it was like God was saying, Crystal, this is where you supposed to be. It was like literally I went somewhere I didn't want to go and end up in the home that I was supposed to be in. And so this is why I'm saying when it's by God, when God is leading you, He gonna make sure them joints line up every time, every dot, every line, every T, every I, and everything is gonna line up according to Him and according to the purpose He has for your life. And so when we got to the closing table, it was like I was like, oh Lord, it didn't feel real because I had been through so much within that last year with all of these realtors and all of this stuff and lenders, and I was just like, Lord, I don't even know if it's gonna happen. But God made it happen. And when I went to the closing table, and the lady said, well, Miss Beeman, your closing fee, I think it was like eight something, 802, 804, 804. And a lot of people are like, that's unreal. That's unrealistic for you to just pay $804 at your closing for your closing costs. Like that's all that was left, and Shantae can verify it because she was there. That's all that was left for me to pay. So I'm just saying, if he could do it for me, he can definitely do it for anybody else that desires to have a home, because I'm telling you, like, it was unheard of. It was like so orchestrated to the T. When I say God was at my closing table, he was at my closing table. He was in the deal. He was like, everything was him. Everything just lined it up perfect according to his will for my life. And I'm just going to encourage anybody that desire to be a homeowner, decree and declare that you will be a homeowner. Decree and declare those things for your life. And if you have any questions, you can inbox me, inbox Shantae, and we will answer the questions the best to my knowledge. But this is the time for people to be homeowners. We always talk about the wealth transfer, and we always talking about the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the just, and we're in the perfect time now. These homes has been sitting on the market for so long, so if they sitting up there so long and people are not buying, this is a perfect time to buy, because now you can go in and get the home. Might be 250,000. You might can get it for 200,000, because they've been sitting for so long. Even in my neighborhood, it's like 3, 4 houses, nice houses, that has been sitting on the market before so long because people is not buying. I don't care what the economy look like. I don't care what nothing look like. Whatever is for you, and God is gonna make it happen. I don't care what people say. Well, the economy, this baby, it ain't no economy. God, my economy. If the stock market crashed right now, God's still gonna provide. And so this is the thing. We're in the season of home ownership, of the wealth, and it's coming, and we have to be ready. He been telling people to prepare, but they don't prepare. You have to be ready. Even though I didn't have the money, I didn't even know how everything was gonna line up. God lined it up before me. I didn't ask nobody. No one helped me with a dime. Everything I had, God provided for me. And literally, no one can say, well, I got Crystal call and borrowed money for me. No, ma'am. I didn't borrow no money from nobody. Everything came directly through God, through Crystal. And we're in that season. I'm telling you, we're in that season. I feel it so strongly by the blood of God. We're in that season because we're in a different season, a different time. And he wants to bless his people. He don't want us struggling. He don't want us being in poverty. And I know y'all gonna get me and get nasty with me. He don't want us dependent on the government. He wants us to totally surrender and depend on him. Now, I was on Section 8. I'm not down in Section 8, but that was just a something to help me until I got to the next step. And I prayed and I cried out to God, hey, this is not my final destination. This is not what you promised me. So this is the time. I'm not saying if you're on Medicaid, food stamps, jump off. Just ask God to help you to wean yourself off, because this is the time. Home ownership is beautiful. Now, when I got here, baby, I was a little nervous. I was like, Lord, I don't know nothing about this. I don't know nothing about that. I was like, Lord, I got to get somebody to cut my grass. Lord, I don't know. But all of that stuff worked out for me. I got somebody to cut my grass. The young guys came during the snow time. The first time they didn't come. The second time they came and shoved the snow for me. So those things was provided too. And I'm just grateful. I'm overwhelmed with joy, because just to sit back and say, God, this is what you blessed me with. Now, I did want the 4 bedrooms. I didn't get those, but I'm thankful what he gave me, because when you get what God had for you, then that's it. That's all. You ain't gonna have no issues, no problems. God just lined it up. But I'm thankful for what he gave me, because it was more of like what neighborhood I wanted to live in. And I was like, Lord, I can't go. I got to sleep during the night. I got to get for work in the morning. Neighborhood quiet. Baby, don't
Mhm.
even know somebody stay over here. Like, I can go outside now. You would never know nobody stay out here. You don't see nobody, no children, no nothing. And this is what God gave me. And I'm going to encourage everybody. I decree and declare for everybody that desiring to get a home this year, next year, and the years to come. I decree that it's your time, it's your season, and the score that you need, the 600 or more, is gonna line up. When you go to that closing table, everything is gonna work out in your favor, because the favor of God is gonna be with you. And sometimes God just want us to step out on faith, because we only need faith as a mustard seed. And when we don't, it's like, because we can't see it, we our mind think, oh, we can't do it. But if I would have stayed and not stepped out on faith, I wouldn't have been in my house. I would still be where I'm at, upset with my neighbors. They making noise, being rude, doing all of this stuff towards me. But God said, no, let's go. It's time for you to go. And so I'm just going to encourage everybody. I'm telling you, if you can do it, do it. If you can do it, if God has been tugging on your heart, if God has said, this is your season, it don't matter what it looked like. I told you I didn't have no money saved up, and I'm just serious. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. I didn't have nothing saved up, but God provided a way, and He still will provide a way. So it's just all about walking out on faith and trusting God. That's the whole thing. I trust God. When we say we trust God, a lot of us don't. We gotta fully surrender our mind to God and say, God, whatever you got, whatever I'm stepping into, I'm going to trust you no matter what it looked like, how it looked, what it seems like. It's going to work out in your favor. And so I'm glad that Shantae, we was able to do this today, and we was able to let the people know. And don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Don't let other people tell you this, and don't let other people tell you that. First of all, when you get you a realtor, whether it be Shantae or not, you need to get someone that's knowledgeable. Shantae knew everything. I could ask her the same question 50 times. She's going to explain it to me. She's going to let me know what was going on, what the picker said, what everything that was going on. So make sure y'all are getting realtors that's on your side and not in for a dollar bill, because nobody, when you go to get a house, and I'm going to just say this, nobody can say, oh, your house is 250,000, or your mortgage gonna be 2,000, 3,000. Your realtor can't tell you that. Only the lender can tell you that, because they have to punch in those numbers. They have to punch in your numbers, and then when you go, they do your credit. It could go, your mortgage could go down, it could go up, it could go down, but they have to punch in those numbers. So if somebody tell you as a realtor, oh, well, that's 250. Your mortgage gonna be 2,500. That's a lie from the pits of hell. No, do not be discouraged. Everybody, make sure you
Let the
keep
lenders
praying,
do their
and you
and
make
let the
sure you
lenders
keep
do their
praying and
job.
keep going, because this is the time, and I'm not gonna keep saying it, in the season for us to come into what God has given us. And a lot of us have these curses that's on our bloodline, and we're fighting these things. Mama wasn't a homeowner, granddaddy wasn't a homeowner, this, that, and the other. But when we take one step, God gonna take the next step. It's all about taking steps. And if you don't go, how you gonna grow? If you don't go, you can't grow. So I'm telling you, it's very, because it's just a lot is going on. As you see, they're trying to get, like, they trying to, I guess, cut social section 8 or whatever it is, like you can't be up there as long and all of that stuff. And so this is why it's important, because you don't want to be in a situation where you just gotta move out, and then you gotta hurry up and scramble and find something else. But when you own your own home, it's yours. Yeah, you paying a mortgage on, excuse me, but it's yours, because they can't just put you out. Even if you get in a bind, it's still programs to help you. If you get to that, it's still programs to help you. So do your research, ask the questions, don't be scared to ask, just don't assume, because those friends, you be like, oh, oh well, I ain't bad on house. No, it's them. They don't want you to be in that house because they not trying to be in the house. So you have to watch who you associate with, and sometimes the people we connected to, that what hinders our blessings, hinders the
Absolutely.
process, because
And look,
everybody has
Crystal,
an opinion, but no one wants to really see other people succeed. And so this is why I stay in my little corner over here in my little box and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's the perfect time to try to um get us together and buy a home. And it's the perfect time. Like I said, the market is oversaturated right now because of everything that's going on. A lot of homes is on a lot of homes are for sale. They've been on the market for a long time. And then the lenders, like, they have really dropped a lot of their requirements to get you in the home. So home ownership is not a trap, it's a blessing, and it creates your generation wealth to generations to come. And so, thank you, Miss Darlene Patterson. But if y'all have any questions, y'all can talk to Tay. She will help you if you're interested. I pray that this video help you and everybody that's up here that's watching the video. I pray that it gave you some insight in home ownership. Also, if you would like to share the video, please share the video so that it can get out to others. Until the next time, thank you for tuning in to the Virtuous Women's Podcast. I'm your host, Crystal, and thank you to Miss Shantae Smith for being on and talking about the home ownership. And y'all have a great day. Until the next episode, I love you all. Goodbye.